Welcome to Dark Habits. This podcast contains extreme language and stories about violence and subjects that some listeners may find upsetting. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hello everybody, this is Hillary and welcome back to Dark Habits. I have created a Facebook and Instagram so I can post pictures from each week's case. So if you search Dark Habits, the podcast, that should pop up. Today's case involves a child, so if you're sensitive to this subject, come back and join us next week. On that note, let's get started.
On behalf of the government of Manitoba, I'd like to begin by saying the child welfare system failed Phoenix Sinclair. We deeply regret and are profoundly saddened by the loss of this child. The Hughes Inquiry is the latest, an extensive examination of the child welfare system following the murder of Phoenix Sinclair. In 2006, our government launched several internal and external reviews that resulted in more than 295 recommendations to improve the system. We followed up on those recommendations through a multi-year action plan we called Changes for Children. Today, we have more social workers, more training, and better tools for early intervention, as well as greater supports for birth families and foster families. We know how a little girl became invisible, and we have already implemented changes to prevent other children from disappearing as she did.
On June the 11th, 2005, an innocent child was killed in Manitoba, Canada. The grim reality was that officials would not become aware of this slaying until 9 months later. This loss would affect Canada's child welfare system for years, as they scrambled to find out what went wrong and how this possibly could have happened. When we think back upon the past to the earliest years of our lives, for most of us, it brings back cherished memories. Times were simpler then. We were carefree, innocent, yet to be invoked by the strain or stressors of society's weight. Holidays were more exciting. Life was easier. We didn't worry as much. Hey, we probably even slept better. For most of us, it's hard to think back at our younger self and not feel a bit of nostalgia and joy. But childhood and the ability to indulge in this carefree life is fostered by the guidance of an adult. For most of us, it was our parents who were our first friends, who took responsibility for our protection and led the way. They cooked our meals, made our bed, and taught us how to act. In return, as parents, we make sure our children have the same privileges that we took for granted. We learn from our parents' mistakes and adapt to become even better parents. Childhood is powerful. It will determine your behavior for the rest of your life. But what if your childhood was not filled with innocence? You see, the truth is, these childhood memories have the very same capability to possess and ruin you. What if instead of that warm feeling you get from thinking of the past, you feel cold and betrayed? Instead of joy and pride, you look back at the past with rage and resentment. Yes, these years did shape you into the person you became. But that person you became is evil. Right above the United States and northern North America is Canada. If you looked on a map directly above Minnesota and North Dakota, you would see Manitoba, a province in the center of the country. Manitoba has a rich landscape of lakes, rivers, forests, and mountains stretching from the northern Arctic tundra to the Hudson Bay. Its capital is Winnipeg, which is the largest city in the province of Manitoba. The climate is diverse, with very, very cold winters and warm but mild summers. Today in Manitoba, the population is mostly of European descent, but the first people of this land were the Aboriginal people. The Aboriginal peoples have inhabited what is now Manitoba for thousands of years, now being roughly 15% of Manitoba's population. The historic Indian Act, which was enacted in 1876 and has since been amended, allowed the government to control most aspects of their life, aiming to assimilate the Aboriginal people. Aboriginals who earned a university degree would automatically lose their Indian status, as would status women who married non-status men. They were sent off to residential schools to force them to assimilate properly. The effects of this history are still seen today in Canada. The Aboriginal population are less educated, less likely to finish high school or even find a job. Homes have drastically lower incomes, and alcoholism is extremely prevalent amongst the communities. The people we are talking about today are all from the Aboriginal community in Manitoba. Phoenix Sinclair was born on April 23, 2000, in Winnipeg, Manitoba. She was born a healthy child to her parents Steve Sinclair, who was 19, and Samantha Kematch, who was 18. Phoenix was not Samantha's first child. She had a son a year before with a different man, who was now a permanent ward of the state. Along with her first child, both Samantha and Steve themselves, as children, had been significantly involved with the child welfare system. As parents, they both strongly mistrusted it. The couple were both victims of childhood physical and emotional abuse and alcohol addiction. When a hospital social worker met with Samantha after giving birth, she asked why she did not have her son. Samantha replied, "Because they thought I would hurt him." Samantha advised that the agency felt this way because Samantha herself was an abused child. This pregnancy, like her last, was unplanned. She managed to hide it full term, and the couple admitted to having no supplies or knowledge of caring for their newborn daughter. Given Samantha's lack of preparation for the baby, the past concerns, and her cluelessness over parenting, CFS took Phoenix. Phoenix was placed in a temporary foster home. This would begin Phoenix's life in the Winnipeg child welfare system. Just 5 months later, Phoenix was returned to her parents under a plan that required Samantha to undergo a formal psychological assessment and for the couple to have regular visits from an in-home support worker. The mental evaluation was required because of Samantha's flat demeanor and inability to show emotion displayed at the hospital. In conclusion of this exam, the doctor noted, "Samantha does not present with a diagnosis of depression. He does see her as a closed book, that she presents as not wishing to tell all the information there is to tell. He said this could be due to her own style of interacting and/or some of her own life experience. Dr. Outman does not see the need for any further assessments at this time. He talked to them about commitment, but he feels that for now they are committed to one another and to parenting." Samantha indicated that she had not wanted to be pregnant and was somewhat sad about it, but since she has decided that this is her child and wants to parent her, she felt that she got connected with the child during the visits. He suspects that there may be some past sexual abuse in her life. However, she is not ready to address it. This was based on her responses to why she did not want to see the doctor when she was pregnant. She expressed concern about a doctor touching her inappropriately. She said that this was due to watching similar issues on TV. His impression was that the flat effect people experienced with Samantha is likely due to her method and style of communication, not depression or feelings of sadness. She reported that she no longer has feelings of sadness as she did when she was pregnant. Although Phoenix was home, this would not be her last experience with CFS. Samantha and Steve, who were now expecting another child, had to agree to the terms and conditions put in place by their social workers. As the months went on, the family of 4 was managing to stay afloat, living off social assistance. Steve was enjoying the new experience, but Samantha seemed to be uninterested with it, withdrawn. The couple would often bring Phoenix over to their family friend's house, Kim and Rohan Stevenson. They were stable and loved the little girl. But as the years went on, Samantha moved out due to Steven's alcohol addiction. The youngest child, who was Phoenix's baby sister, died from complications of pneumonia in Steven's care. This caused him to even spiral more out of control with addiction. Phoenix, as a result, was ordered by CFS to live full-time with the Stevensons, who could provide Phoenix with the proper care she needed. For the seemingly brief period, Phoenix had the stability of childhood and actually hope for a positive future. This brief period of peace was interrupted in April 2004. While Phoenix was living with the Stevensons, Samantha showed up unannounced and demanded to take her daughter. Phoenix was so happy and excited to see her mother again. The Stevensons saw the child's joy and believed she would be returned in a few days, so allowed her to go. Samantha now had a new boyfriend named Wes, that Phoenix had never met. Phoenix would never return to the Stevensons. It would now live with her mother and Wes full-time. Wes was Carl Wesley McKay, a man with a long history of domestic violence that was outlined in the Family Services Central Database. Wes had met Samantha through her mother, and they were now living together, expecting a baby of their own. Everything appeared to be okay at first, but as time went on, friends and family members who saw the family grew concerned. Samantha was seen starting to belittle Phoenix and becoming mentally and emotionally abusive. It seemed like when the new baby came into the home, Phoenix was more of a burden than their child. When apart from her mother, Phoenix was a happy, normal little girl, but when her mother was around, she became timid and withdrawn. Samantha was often seen ignoring the little girl, who had started wetting the bed and fondling herself. Samantha's friend overheard her tell Phoenix while giving her a bath, "You wouldn't smell so bad if you would stop playing with yourself all the time." There was also a chain-linked lock above the door handle to the bedroom that remained fastened most of the time. Phoenix was not allowed outside of the bedroom, causing her to have to use the bathroom inside. Friends of the couple reached out to CFS, but the concerns went unanswered when the callers declined to give their identity to the agents. In April of 2005, Phoenix had now been in her mother and Wes's care for about a year. Samantha and Wes moved to a larger home where Wes's 2 sons from another mother would now live also. The house was on an Aboriginal reserve, which they were renting out from a friend who owned the property. It was a ranch-styled home in bad condition with smashed-out windows despite the freezing cold winters. Wes's 2 boys were old enough to realize the grim reality of Phoenix, which would haunt them for the rest of their lives. Shockingly, the couple treated the boys like average children, while Phoenix's abuse escalated to pure torture. Whenever the boys were alone in the home with Phoenix, they would go to the basement and sneak her food and water. Phoenix was now shaved bald and often wore a hat, although her face was covered in cuts and bruises. Wes would shoot the little girl with his son's pellet gun when she took out the garbage, the only time she was allowed outside. Phoenix, who used to be a chubby little girl, became skinny and weak. At times, Wes would lift Phoenix up by her neck and choke her until she blacked out, throwing her on the cold floor, twitching, as his sons watched. Wes even had a name for the game. It was called Chicken and seemed unprovoked. Phoenix was now locked in the cold basement, not allowed upstairs. One day, after one of Wes's typical beatings, he threw her so hard she hit her head on the basement floor. The very next day was June the 11th, 2005. Wes went down the basement stairs and performed his regular 15 to 20 minutes of torture on the weak and frail 5-year-old. This time he used a screwdriver to hit her. Wes's son and Samantha peeked down the stairs to the basement and watched. When Phoenix was still and lifeless, the couple left the house and told the kids they were going to get some pie from Grandpa. Wes's younger son ran to the basement to check on Phoenix once they left. Phoenix was already cold, not breathing, and it was so obvious. They had left Phoenix to die on the cold basement floor. After discovering Phoenix, Wes's son called his father and told them he found Phoenix not breathing. Samantha and Wes soon returned to the house. They brought Phoenix upstairs, put her in the bathtub, and ran water on her. They tried to perform CPR on her lifeless body, but Phoenix was dead. They then wrapped up her body in plastic and put her in the trunk of Wes's car. They took her to the woods on the reservation, and near the reserve's landfill they buried her in a shallow grave. The only witness to these events, except for the couple, was Wes's son. Wes told his son,
"If anybody asks, she went to go live with her dad in Winnipeg."
After Phoenix was killed, the couple took the boys back to their mother's home in Winnipeg. Samantha and Wes cleaned up and painted the basement, and then went about living their lives. They continued to pretend Phoenix was alive and collected welfare benefits with her listed as a dependent. The harsh reality of this case is Phoenix's death would not be discovered for 9 long months after she was killed, even though she was in the child welfare system. So who eventually told the authorities? No, not child welfare services or one of the many concerned adults who witnessed this horror. It was Wes's young son. After months of being back living with his mother, he was feeling safe enough to tell her. His mother instantly called law enforcement and child services. Police and a social worker tracked down Samantha, who tried to pass off a friend's daughter as Phoenix. After failing to produce the real Phoenix, Samantha and Wes are finally arrested.
You've done very well, Sam. You've done a good thing here, and I appreciate you being honest with me and telling the truth. You did the right thing. There's a couple things that we talked about that I'm a little bit confused on, though, because I feel like I kind of have 2 different stories about it, so I want to make sure I got it right and get the truth about what happened, okay? The part that you and I talked about that day when Phoenix died, you were telling me about what you think killed her in the basement. Can you explain that again? Because you explained it one part, but you had talked before about it and it's kind of different, so I want to make sure I got it right. So I want you to talk to me about the morning or the day that you guys were at home when Phoenix died before you went to Wes's dad's house.
She was okay. She was breathing.
Okay, and that's what you told me. But when I had asked you about what it is that you think killed her.
Yeah, when we came back, I said it looked like she choked on her puke. That's what I said. That looks like me, that she might have died from choking on her puke.
Right.
There was a puke spot there.
Samantha is wearing sweats and white socks with no shoes. She is wiggling her toes as she sits, legs and arms crossed. She is unemotional and overweight, which makes Phoenix not being fed incomprehensible. Samantha stating she choked on her puke is leaving out the reason they were arrested. They have a first-hand witness who had seen this entire incident happen. Samantha acts slow, like she is not understanding what the investigators are asking her. But please be aware that this is an act. She is using this all to her benefit.
But then we talked about what happened down there.
Yeah.
And that's where I'm confused, is the time when you talked about the puke, but then you also talked about Phoenix being thrown across the floor, or thrown onto the floor, banging her head.
Yeah, that was the day before.
Okay, so that's where I'm confused about, as what day what thing happened.
Mm-hmm.
So
like, what do you mean? Like,
the day before she died. So we know she died on June 11th, right?
mm-hmm.
So on June 10th, what happened that day? What happened to her that day? Those things you were telling me about?
That's the day I was pushed her. She banged her head on the floor.
Okay.
That's what I said. She banged her head on the floor.
Right.
Was pushed her.
See, I thought you said that that was the day that she died.
No.
Okay. So this is why I want to talk to make sure I've got it right, because there was parts that confused me about that. So on June 10th, the day before, that's when he threw her and she hit her head on the floor. Okay, so what else happened that day? Now, you had told me about hitting her in the leg a couple times with that bar, that pipe. I think you called it a bar, maybe?
A pole.
Yeah.
A pole.
So did you hit her with that thing that day, the same day that he pushed her and she hit her head? Okay, so what day did you hit her?
That was a different day. I don't know what day that was, but that was a different day. I know that wasn't the day before she died.
Okay.
It was just a different day.
Okay, now the day that she died, you had talked about leaving with Wes to go to his dad's,
Mm-hmm.
and then you came back because Daniel phoned because she wasn't breathing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, before you guys left, before you went to his dad's, what happened in the basement? I need you to talk to me about that again.
Nothing happened in the basement. Like, what do you mean, like, something like what do you mean, like, how it happened?
Well, we talked about...
There's nothing that happened. She was breathing. She was all right to me before I left.
Okay, so...
She was laying there, yeah, but she was breathing.
And when you say she was laying there, where was she laying?
On the floor.
In the basement?
Yeah.
Okay, and that's the last time you saw her?
Yeah.
And how do you know she was breathing?
Because I checked her.
Okay, why did you think you had to check her to see if she was breathing before you left? What had happened?
Because I always checked on her. I just checked. There's just something like... I don't know why, I just did.
Okay, because we had talked before, and you had suggested to me that Phoenix died because she choked on her puke.
Mm-hmm, that might have been, I said.
Okay. I don't believe that's true, and I don't think you do either. After we had talked about that, and I asked you, what do you really think killed her? And you told me that it will probably be an injury to her head. Right?
Yes.
So when you had talked to me about how she got that injury, what day did that injury happen?
On June 10th.
And how do you know that?
Because I remember that was the day. Because I remember thinking maybe that's how she died. I was thinking. So I thought maybe that's why she died. Maybe because she had an injury to her head because when she fell.
Okay. So
maybe that was what happened.
So was there anything wrong with her on June 11th that would make you think that she was still hurt from the day before?
Because Wes said that he told her. No, he didn't tell her. He said that she said she wasn't hungry, or she couldn't come upstairs. He said that he asked her to come upstairs. She said she couldn't come upstairs.
Why couldn't she come upstairs?
I don't know. He didn't say why. She didn't say why, he said. All he said was that she said she couldn't come upstairs.
So what happened on the morning of June 11th that hurt her where she couldn't come upstairs? You know, and I know that something.
I'm trying to remember it.
This investigator's control and patience during the situation is truly astonishing. She keeps calm but is persistent on getting Samantha to confess. Unfortunately, Samantha continues to dance around the subject.
No, I don't.
So when you said that you went to check on her,
Yeah, when I checked on her, she was okay and breathing.
now she was breathing, but was she beaten up? Was she hurt?
I think maybe she was hurt.
Okay.
But I couldn't tell, because she was just laying there and she was breathing. Just like when somebody's just laying there. When somebody's just laying down.
Okay, so you...
She was okay though when I looked at her.
Okay, so she was alive, you say, when you looked at her. Now, when you think she was kind of hurt, what made you think she was hurt?
So I was thinking maybe because of her head, maybe. I was just wondering about that.
Okay, and so are you telling me that nothing happened in the basement that before you went, that nothing happened to her in that basement on June 11th? Because you had said before that you weren't the one that beat her. Mm-hmm. And I said, well, who beat her? And you said it was Wes.
Yeah.
And we were talking about that day.
I I said he beat her. But like, I said he beat her.
All I want you to do, Sam, is tell me the truth.
I'm telling you the truth. I didn't beat her.
Okay, and I'm not saying that you did. I'm asking you to tell me the truth about what happened before you went to his dad's house that day.
Yeah, I checked on her. She was okay. She was breathing.
Did somebody beat her that morning? Or earlier in the day before you went to his dad's, did somebody beat her?
Like from the time when we were gone and the time we got back?
No. From before you went. You and Wes were still home. Daniel was there. And Phoenix was there. Before you and Wes left.
Oh, yeah, I said Wes beat her, but I didn't say he beat her that day. I'm talking about the day before.
Okay, I want to know what happened that day.
That day... I think that they... I think he told her to have a shower that day. That morning, I'm not sure. Unless I'm thinking of another day.
Samantha blaming her bad memory is her way of attempting to get away with murder by not incriminating herself. She's clueless of the evidence that they already have on both her and Wes. By Samantha saying she was okay, shows how much of a monster she really truly is. We know Phoenix was not okay by any means. Phoenix had not been okay for a year at this point. Meanwhile, in another room at the police department, Wes McKay sits with a different investigator.
So there's some stresses going on in your life, right?
There was, when I first told her to come and stay with me, and
right.
I didn't even know she had a kid.
Oh, you didn't know Samantha?
No, I didn't know she had a kid.
Oh, really? Okay.
Next thing I go to her mom's and her kid's there. And,
right. Is that Phoenix you're talking about? Yeah.
Yeah, and she told me that this was her kid, but she was staying with her mom.
Right.
I thought myself first time that Samantha was just single. I didn't know she had any kids. And,
right.
I don't know. She wasn't very. She wasn't very good with her child anyway.
Samantha wasn't?
No.
No, how come?
I don't know. I just don't know. Maybe the anger in her or something.
Yeah.
Then she'd get me and tell her to shut up. That's not. Tell her to shut the hell up. Get in the corner or whatever. Right. There was always Samantha starting with this kid. The biggest mistake was this. I can't say that she moved in. The kid was like a mistake.
Right.
She should have stayed with her grandparents. And I just lived this life of me, her, and when I found out she was pregnant, that shocked me, and
yeah,
I tried so hard to keep her happy,
right?
But this tragedy has totally turned my life.
I bet it has. It must be weighing thin on your nerves, since then?
No, I don't know,
it's kind of been bugging you.
It has been.
Yeah?
Yeah, every night.
Yeah, I bet it has.
Sometimes I listen to the music. And one time I went like this, and then I heard Phoenix's name,
right.
Like just out of the blue.
Right.
And just kind of, made me think.
Yeah.
when is this gonna occur? You know, I was scared.
I bet you were.
Scared.
You know what? Anybody in your shoes would be scared. If I would have been in your shoes, I would have, who knows, maybe I would have done the same thing. We don't think properly when in high stress situations, do we? We don't.
Daniel was there.
Yeah. Hey, I know he was there.
I was
He's
so scared.
He was having a tough time with this, man. He's having a tough time with this.
I told my son.
Yeah.
Wes is scrawny looking with a shaved head. He weeps with his head in his hands. The Canadian investigators really go above and beyond. We all know that when the investigator says, "Who knows, maybe I would have done the same thing," that this is a tactic. No human could ever imagine being capable of anything close to what Wes has done. The investigator does a really good job stroking up Wes's ego to make him feel comfortable enough to speak. And it works. The overly compassionate questions he asks Wes are designed to get him talking.
I don't know how are you on special medication because since that incident? Or no?
No, I was on it.
No? So, explain to me how it happened.
I can't remember.
Try and remember for me, okay?
I remember.
I can't hear you.
I don't even remember this. We just. I don't know. Fucking. She put her in the corner, and I don't know what the fucking. She came out of the corner, and then
Phoenix.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I grabbed her. I threw her on the clothes. There was a bag of clothes. I threw her on there. And says, listen to your mom, I said. So we went, we left. And then Daniel phoned me. She said that this little girl wasn't breathing anymore.
Yeah.
I came back, the sounds like this.
Yeah, I know you did. That's what Daniel said.
Nice. I tried to revive her.
Yeah. But it didn't work.
And we were scared.
I bet you were.
And I told her. And then Sam said, let's go bury her somewhere.
Okay. Right, we know that.
So we wrapped her up and we went. Buried her.
Yeah. Where'd you bury her?
In the bush somewhere.
Where?
By the garbage dump.
Yeah. Are you talking about which garbage dump?
I don't know, somewhere you go up the road somewhere.
What garbage dump?
And when you go towards on the, I don't know if it's the south side or something, at the gravel road.
Who all went when you went to bury the child?
Just me and Sam went.
Yeah. What happened to Daniel?
I told him to stay home.
Yeah.
I told him to move back.
Yeah. So, try and explain to me. You said you buried, how deep is the body buried?
It wasn't very deep.
If you were to say in inches, how deep?
Probably like a foot and a half.
Would you use to bury?
But I used a shovel.
Yeah. What did you put the baby into anything?
What's that?
Did you put the child into anything?
Plastic.
Where'd you get the plastic from?
It was downstairs. It was for the walls.
Yeah. Okay. What vehicle did you use when you went out there?
It's my car.
Is that the Tempo?
Yeah.
Yeah. Where'd you place the child in the car?
In the trunk.
In the trunk. What time of day was this?
This is in the evening.
About what time?
It was starting to get dark.
Yeah.
About 9, it was 10.
Yeah. Did you ever go back there?
No.
You didn't go back and look?
No.
Is the body still there?
I don't know.
Well, if you didn't go back, would it still be there?
I don't know.
Is there anything on top of it right now?
Just soil, I guess.
How about snow?
Snow, yeah, there'd be snow on there, I guess.
What direction in the dump? Is it right in the dump or is it on the outskirts?
No, it's down in the bush somewhere.
Okay. You'd be able to take me there?
Yeah.
Yeah. Really?
Yeah.
Okay. I appreciate that.
I just want this over.
I know you do. I know you do. And you know what? You're doing a good thing. I know you do. You're doing a good job.
I know, I didn't spend the rest of my life in jail.
Hey, let's worry about dealing with the stuff right now, okay? All right? Okay? Right? So it was just you and Samantha that went?
Me and Samantha.
Who's actually responsible for causing the baby's death?
I don't know. Because I used to just spank her behind it. And one time she had a fucking cut on her head. I said, well, who's hitting her on the head? I said,
Yeah.
so I said, I don't know. I said, well, you're the only one here. Daniel wouldn't do it.
Right. Well, did Samantha do anything to her that day?
Yeah.
What did
She always beats her up.
How does she beat her up?
She fucking hits her.
Yeah.
I tried so hard not to do anything, you know.
I know.
Tried so hard.
Yeah.
I don't want to blame all of that
I know.
on Samantha because, you know, we're both involved in this. I see her do it. It's my responsibility. You know, she saw me do this too, and it's her responsibility too.
Right.
You know?
But, so when we talk about who is responsible for causing the baby's death, was it you or was it her?
I don't know. You know, I don't know. Like I said, we left her, she was fine. Daniel phoned me up and said the the girl's not breathing. So
Right. Where were you when Daniel called you?
at my dad's.
Okay.
And I drove as fast as I could, and then I went running down the stairs, and she was just lying there, and then I tried to resuscitate her, to give her the, because I took that training for emergency response unit,
Right.
and I was trying to revive her.
Okay, but you said you talked about earlier that you did CPR.
Yeah.
Now, just explain what CPR is to me, so I know that.
Well, I put her head up like this, and then I was trying to blow her mouth.
Right.
Look at the chest, and then I kind of gave her this thing here.
The chest compressions.
Yeah, not too hard. But,
No.
No, and I tried to revive her again, and it didn't work.
No.
So I don't know how long she was like that.
How long did you try doing it for?
About 5-10 minutes.
Oh.
I couldn't do it any longer
Okay.
because
Well, where was Samantha when you were doing
she was
this?
standing on the steps. My son watched me do this.
Okay, so did Samantha witness this?
Samantha saw it too.
Yeah.
She seemed to try to revive the little girl.
Yeah.
Son
What-
he saw me doing this too. I tried to revive her.
Yeah. Where did this happen exactly? I mean, I have an idea. Okay. Where did this exactly happen in Fisher River?
Yeah. And we used to live at this house on the reserve.
Right.
And we were paying rent for it. This girl named is Angela Murdoch. It's her house.
It's her house, but you were paying rent to her?
Yeah. We were
Okay.
paying rent to her.
But it was a reserve house?
Yeah.
Okay.
Wasn't really the best place to live because you can tell it was going to be cold
Right.
because the windows smashed out a bit, and we had stuff covered, plastic covering the windows. And
Oh, okay. All right. So did it have a house number?
no, it's I don't know what 174 or something. Like
174. What color was it?
It's a bluish, whitish house, blue and white.
Yeah. What? And I know sometimes the reserves had a road. What road was it on? What's it called?
On the main highway.
Main highway?
Yep.
Okay.
You could clean it, so you know, you.
Kleenex? Some Kleenex. We'll get you some Kleenex.
Wes confesses and recounts the day that Phoenix was brutally murdered as he cries. This brings me to the topic of grief. The show of emotion is a redeeming quality. When we see criminals who have done the most heinous crimes showing some kind of emotion, it shows us that they are somehow human. Samantha not showing an ounce of pain or suffering in the memory of her daughter Phoenix shows just how truly cold she really is. After locating Phoenix's body, they realized the depth of how absolutely awful the extent of her abuse was. She had broken every bone in her body over the 5 short years of her life. Phoenix was given a funeral in 2009, 4 years after her death, since her remains were needed as evidence in the case. During the trial in 2008, the court heard about Samantha and Wes routinely beating Phoenix with their fists, feet, and metal bars. Even forced her to eat her own vomit. The Manitoba government apologized for the child welfare system's failure to protect Phoenix Sinclair. They produced a long-awaited report on the 5-year-old's death. The report contains 62 recommendations for improving the child welfare system and is called out to address the deeply rooted issues. CFS also admitted to negligence by missing multiple times they could have intervened. No one lost their job. As for Samantha and Wes, they were sentenced to life in prison. They will have a chance at parole in 2033. Samantha still to this day has not taken any accountability for the death of her child.
Maybe it's better you start, and then I may have some questions, but I take it you had some things you wanted to say?
I wanted to know, I read yesterday's article.
Yeah.
And, why did you print that, the first thing was she killed her kid,
Right.
That was the first line of the article, and I just got, angry about it because there is no she killed her kid.
Of course, the jury has found that you killed your kid. They didn't find you not guilty of murder. You're right. They found you. Their finding is that you both killed Phoenix.
See, but that's the thing. There is no they, us, or we in this about killing her. How people are saying, or how he's saying too. And I just what I said in court yesterday about people not hearing the truth, what really happened, that's what I mean. Nobody's hearing the truth.
So what is the truth?
The truth is, I never killed her. It wasn't me. I wouldn't do something like that to my own child.
But there was evidence that...
The only evidence that there is that what people are saying. My truth is that I never did it. That's the thing. Nobody's understanding, getting it, that my truth was sitting right beside me in court all this time. He knows the truth that I didn't do this.
His two sons testified and about all sorts of things they witnessed you doing to Phoenix.
You see, that's what I mean. They could say whatever they want, but that's what I mean. I don't know how to explain it, but you guys weren't there to know what really happened. I know what really happened. I never killed my kid. I didn't do these things to her like everybody says I did. And Wesley knows that too, that I didn't do that.
What did you do to her?
What did I do to her?
Yeah.
I loved her. That's what I did to her.
Every human's life experience is an outcome of their outer influences and their past encounters. This is not an isolated event. There are many other Phoenix Sinclairs that walk among us. An impact statement won't solve this problem, so treat your children well because they one day could be mothers and fathers themselves.
This podcast was recorded with love in memory of Phoenix Sinclair.